Hi, welcome to a new episode of Ocd Geeks. I'm Cris.
And I'm Jack. Hi guys.
For those of you who are new to our channel, a huge welcome. We are the Ocd Geeks as well as Ocd Geeks podcast and YouTube channels. Here on Ocd Geeks, we focus all about the gaming world, while on Ocd Geeks, we chat about geeky pop culture, including language learning, mental health, TV series and movies, music, and so much more. So you are welcome to check out our first channel as well.
We covered a lot of topics from fantasy to serious ones.
So today I would like to chat about a game that came out September 2021 that is called Tales of Arise. Have you ever heard about the Tales series, Jack?
Actually not, Cris. Sounds new to me.
I'm sure, Jack, that you, like many of our listeners, are familiar with Final Fantasy games.
Sure, Cris. I grew up with Final Fantasy. Many chapters have entered my heart and will always be there.
Tales of Arise is a JRPG, so a Japanese role-play game that actually started way back in 1995 with the Super Nintendo, the SNES, that was called in Japan Super Famicom, like a family computer. You know, Tales of Arise is actually the 17th installment into this well-known gaming series.
That's a huge number of chapters.
Yes, like Final Fantasy, most of the chapters, unless they are like sequels or spin-off, don't have a connection to the previous one. So you are able to try Tales of Arise without any previous knowledge of the Tales series.
Yeah, that's great. Do you think that in common with Final Fantasy, Tales of Arise has also this style of fighting, Cris? It seems very intuitive.
The fighting system is one of the best because it is action-based, not like turn-based strategy like Final Fantasy 9 or 10, but it is more similar to the most recent Final Fantasy 15, action-oriented. Actually, Jack, the combat system is easy to understand at first, like the basics, but it's so much complex and is full of options and strategies. It's a fantastic quest to master.
Well, actually, this blending between reality, characters, and fantasy world has always fascinated me. The roleplay in Japanese school of video games has risen quite a bit.
This game came out last year, but I didn't have the time to get into it fully. So now I started to play again. I'm about 4 to 5 hours in. That might sound a lot of time, but actually in a roleplay game, especially Japanese style, is really a short number because you can expect to play around 100 hours or even more if you want to complete all the side quests.
That's right, Cris. Do you think there are also some bonus quests or monsters to fight?
I'm sure there are. Even myself, I wouldn't spoil anything beside the basic elements of the plot. It tells the story between two civilizations, Rena and Dana. Actually, Rena people comes from another planet and they reduce the Dana local population into slavery. So there is this war, this contrast between the two factions. The main character is a boy with an iron mask. Actually, at the beginning, you don't even know the name of the boy. You just call it Iron Mask, or in Japanese, Tekkame. You're going to encounter a girl that belongs to this other group, the Rena, and despite all the differences, they will start a journey, a brand new adventure together. From that, I wouldn't spoil anything anymore because it's a beautiful story to discover yourself.
Great. You know, Cris, it also reminded me, as you were explaining, a bit of the Halo series that we talked about quite recently, and our listeners will maybe remember those. And I want to highlight that, as the previous Final Fantasy, what captured my attention the most was this great epic storytelling that was always common in the chapters of the saga.
Yes, of course, Tales of Arise as well as Halo are two completely different games, but if there is something in common is the thrilling story and the mix of sci-fi atmosphere, more like fantasy oriented in Tales of Arise. But you are right on that because the storytelling in games nowadays has reached new peak of standards. So Halo as well as Tales of Arise are two top-notch story-driven games.
Do you think there will be another chapter to Tales of Arise in the future?
I can guess that there will be a new installment into the Tales series, but I don't know if there will be a direct sequel to Tales of Arise or a new game in a new fantasy world. Besides that, the style of the game is inspired by traditional Japanese manga and anime, so it's beautiful to watch, especially especially if you are playing on a 4K monitor.
That's for sure. Games like these with great enhancement in technology and role-playing, open worlds, give 100% on the right equipment.
You know, Jack, that since both me and you have a big passion for music, the soundtrack in this game is great. Orchestral, epic, classical style of music that I'm sure it's beautiful to listen, even if you want to focus on your task beside your time with the game.
Yes, I think that's a feature of the epic storytelling. Sometimes you have also these classic melodies that remind, for example, of Carmina Burana or great classical pieces of music that we all know, at least in our collective imaginary.
For example, Jack's solo violin riff, it's so cool, the right energy to get ready for your game. You know, guys, I play violin in my free time as well, so it's something so cool to me.
I cannot get enough of those jingles, for example, approaching the battles or winning, short melodies of 5 seconds that make your day.
Yes, I think so. So if you have the possibility to play with headset, go for it. You know, guys, if you haven't got the chance to try Tales of Arise, but you are into Japanese role-playing games, or just you are looking for a brand new adventure that is going to take 100 or even more hours to fully complete, I will totally recommend you. Even myself, I played around 5 hours, but I feel I just scratched the surface of what the game has to offer.
Yeah, guys, I think you should follow Chris' advices.
Last but not least, Jack, the game is available for PC as well as PlayStation 4 and 5, Xbox One, Series X and X. I'm playing on the Xbox Series X with a 4K monitor. It looks outstanding. I'm sure you can get pretty much the same experience no matter which system you choose to play. Actually, Jack, this game is not available for the Nintendo Switch, but if you only have a Switch and you are interested to try the Tales series, there is a previous installment that is called Tales of Vesperia that, unlike Tales of Arise, it is more like cheerful and full of colors. So if you're looking to a taste of what the series has to offer, I will totally recommend Tales of Vesperia on the Switch as well, or PS4 for example.
Well, that's great. At least for a comparison would be nice.
Yes, another advice is to select the Japanese voice acting because it's really well done. If you are like me and you have a passion for Japan and Japanese, it is great. For me, it sounds a bit weird to listen anime characters speaking in English. At least this is just my opinion. But guys, what do you think about Tales of Arise? Did you have the chance to play it yet? Or maybe are you planning to pick it up after listening to our episode? Let us know in the section comments on YouTube or contact us directly both on Instagram and Twitter at Chris_OCD Geeks as well as Jack_OCD Geeks.
So, even for today, we reached the closing of our episode. Let them talk about freaks.
We keep playing on Ocd Geeks.